All right, how's it going? Let's see here. I'm just gonna make sure this YouTube is working. Uh, I believe I'm streaming to Twitch and YouTube right now, so let's see. All right, it looks like it's working. It's probably just a little behind, I'm assuming. Throw it over here for a moment. Make sure it catches up fine. How's it going? And it did. Perfect. All right, I think I'm just going to be running through a pretty easy scan here. um, I have basically a long and a short version of a scan that I like to run through, and you can kind of tell relative market strength and weakness based on how many names are in this scan here versus this one right here. So basically what the scan is going to be that price is above $10, that the price is above the 20-day and the 50-day moving average. I also have a condition that price is above a 5-day moving average that is rising. That just helps to cut out potential losers, basically. So that 5-day thing is a note taken from Brian Shannon's book, which I really like. Volume over 400,000 and optionable. That's just how I like to trade. I don't remember the last time I actually bought just a stock. So this scan here has about 120 in it. This one has 61, and this is out of a basket of roughly 600 stocks or so that I trade from or scan through. So this one right here, the long scan, is what I'm going to be focusing on since the market is in an uptrend. So here's that same scan. I just have it on the side of this layout right here. So what I'm going to do is just kind of roll through these in TC2000, and then I'm going to do a little more in-depth scanning on TrendSpider right here. All right, cool. I have these sorted by change today, and MicroStrategy is up almost 20%, which makes sense because Bitcoin is about, I think Bitcoin is up 25% over the past week, which is mostly over the last few days, and obviously the market hasn't been open. Let's sort this by volume. Maybe by 5-day, actually. We'll see which ones are close to their 5-day moving average and still looking good in all the other respects. And when I click down to the 15-minute and the 65-minute, this orange line here is going to be the 5-day. But I like to just start with the daily chart on these. Trimble. Not looking too good. Bearish engulfing candle. I'm going to ignore that one. DocuSign is on my weekly watch list. As you can see, we had kind of based for basically almost a year, almost a full year here. And then we kind of had a shakeout right before we ended up breaking out. It moved, let's see. It moved 72% in about 2.5 months. That's pretty crazy. So either one of two things will happen. Either it's going to have a little pullback and then just keep going before it just finds a place to just kind of hang out and base for a while. Or it could very easily just kind of base in this area for a little bit. This was a name that was down today. Let's see, on this list, it looks like about half and half as far as ended in the green or ended in the red by a little bit. So roughly half and half there. And DocuSign was down about $3. Palo Alto Network. It's one that I've been kind of keeping an eye on. Um, Earlier well, maybe it was last week. I think I took a trade somewhere right in here and kind of caught a portion of this move. I trade options and just kind of short term swing trading. So, I mean, a $13, $14 move uh, can earn me a pretty nice profit there. Fast here had a nice scoop of the 50 with that 21 EMA. Just kind of taking a few breather days, it looks like. Volume is pretty light right here. I'm not super interested in this daily chart right now. I definitely know people that would, buy a break into new highs. That isn't my favorite sort of setup, though. If I do buy a break into new highs, I don't really like to swing trade it too much. I'll either do a quick day trade so I can get out if it fails right away, or I'll buy something, a month out and just kind of try and capture that larger move that extends from the breakout area. But my favorite sorts of plays are something like, so we have this trend line here. This would be a key support area. One of my favorite setups is just going to be basically a move off of that. A bullish channel pullback. ABT, I had this one on my weekly list. I was watching it when it kind of had this nice bounce off of the 21 into this, potentially narrowing wedge here. You could do something like this, maybe. And it broke out, and then I kind of a weak day today. Still worth keeping an eye on, just because it hit this month-to-date anchored VWAP. This green line is the month-to-date. I use all sorts of different anchored volume-weighted average price lines. And the month to date tends to be a good one. So it came down, perfectly hit that, and we ended up closing still just outside of this breakout range. So volume did pick up a little bit once it kind of entered that range. So I still have it on my list, but I'm not quite sure on it yet. I need to see a little bit more out of that name first. BMY. Let's see. So BMY is right at the pre-COVID levels right now. So here's the COVID crash. Dropped 30%, about average with the market, and it's rose 45 right to that level since there. So depending on the strength of the healthcare sector, this could be a good play. I mean, outside of this breakout level, since it's such a key level of support, but there is a bit of sloppiness, I suppose. Kind of looking back through this chart, like failed breakouts right here. It would be probably safer to buy off of, this trend line right here, as long as it's showing strength on a bounce off of that. D-Dog looking like a potential cup and handle forming here. Let me get rid of these lines here. So it's been holding the 21 nicely ever since it broke above on May 20th. looking like we're could potentially be seeing a pullback, but I'm seeing a lot of these candles today in a lot of names, especially the names that are down, where it was down quite a bit more, but closed a little ways off the lows. So that's a good sign. I have a call spread in SPX, so hopefully I can kind of take advantage of that strength we're seeing on these dip buys. Just gonna kind of scroll through these till I find something that piques my interest. This one I kind of tried to trade and I ended up getting stopped out. Must have been this day I was looking at. I think this day right here had some good pre-market action also, because I remember looking at this in TrendSpider and it was a break two all-time highs, and this is the biggest volume ever, and I ended up getting in towards the end of the day, and then this happened here, and I kind of was holding it, watched it bounce off of the 21, and I thought, okay, cool, we're headed back to all-time highs, and it just kind of started dropping here, so I just got out. I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't like how it was behaving. So this oddly bullish volume day really didn't amount to anything until a month later. Kind of weird action, so I'm just staying away from that one. Really choppy. So my trading strategy seems to change up quite a bit, but right now I've been really making a lot of my money on, these companies that have been basing for a year or something like that and just buying on the support. So it's holding the 21 pretty well right now. Not sure if you can find a really clear horizontal trend line in this area, but yeah, it's a good looking channel. I like to be very precise with my channels here. Volume's drying up. Let's see, looks like it's picked up a bit through this test here. I'm gonna pull this one up in TrendSpider. Tempur Sealy. That's mattresses, I think. I want to test something out real quick here. Just take a moment. Because I'm not exactly sure how chat works when I'm multi-streaming. Know how it works on Twitch with the program I'm using. Alright, sent. Alright, cool. I understand how it works now. Alright. let's draw this channel here. Looking pretty good. We'll put this volume by price at this large gap up from February. This would have been a great trade right here. This gap up VWAP right here. Confluence with this solid support line. We do have a big lack of volume, pretty much above, say, $40.50, $41, something like that. I think with this one, just because I kind of like these plays, this is not a very big mover, so I'm going to kind of ignore it for now, but I am going to set an alert on the support. I'll just put it out for a month, and we'll see what happens. It's got a nice V shape, great recovery off of the 200 right here. RSI is taking quite a big hit, didn't really recover with this last move up. I'd be short biased on this one if anything right now, but I don't really like to short things that are sitting at all-time highs. So that is an ignore. And a chop city right there. Z-scaler still super strong. Looks like it pulled back a little bit today. Adobe is still ripping. It's up about 30% over the past month and a half. This is another name that was basing for almost a year before this breakout. Too extended for me. Walmart, I have bad luck with this name. It kind of just chops around too much. Like, it'll start looking really strong, and there'll be a lot of confluence with a lot of things I'm looking at, and it doesn't go when I want it to go, you know? Like how it might spend 3 weeks just not doing anything. AbbVie. Still holding the 50 all right. 3M just had a golf tournament this past weekend. I didn't get to watch it, but I would call this a support right here. Rough support anyway. This has been around since '93. Don't even know what they do. Alright, so it looks like we're holding this range pretty well here. I would put kind of maybe a rough resistance area somewhere around here. Put a box here. This is a little too wide, but somewhere around right there. Wonder if we'll get kind of a cup and handle pattern, like this will work its way up here and then kind of form a handle after that back to 191-ish. That could be cool. And that would be a powerful move since the what cup and handle would be with a handle and that move out of it. I mean, that's a 3-year pattern setting up. But pretty slow mover, and I don't trade long term like that. So moving on. Still under the 200. Could be interesting above it. Then you have this previous support that's going to act as resistance too. And where it's at right now, I mean, if it happens over the next week or two, you could easily see a false breakout, hits this new resistance before getting railed back down. Shop got hit today, lost a little over $50. Bit extended still. Dash. My alert must have ran out on this one because I did not get a dash alert here. But this is definitely an interesting area where it's at right now. No, Doug Bush. He's a great Twitter follow. He runs a service. He posted a dash chart on here yesterday, I believe. Gonna re-reference that. Take a look at what he was looking at. But this level right here was basically the IPO open. Well, I guess the price at open. It wasn't the IPO price, and it was kind of a sloppy support a little bit here for, let's see, almost a month and a half. Yep, double bottom pattern. Earnings is on the 12th, little over 2 weeks away. I like this one. I'm going to put this one on my weekly list. Just kind of keep an eye on it. Let me bring it up in TrendSpider and look at a smaller time frame. Why can't I add it? There we go. Alright, cool. Let's look at a 65-minute here. This was the last earnings. It has had good earnings the last two. Let me bring it back to the 2 hour here. All right. So this yellow right here is the VWAP from this gap up off of the lows. Here's the IPO anchored VWAP. RSI looking really strong with this move here. Back above the 55, not too extended from it. Looks like we're currently caught right at the 5-day. Throw that one on the list, and you can see pretty much exactly where price closed today, this dotted line. It's pretty much right where that previous support was. I guess we got one test of resistance right here before right here. So we'll see if we can make a move off of this 5-day, which it looks like it tapped right here. Oh, it was down 3% today. Wonder if it needs a little more time before it kind of jumps back into this range right here. I'm going to look at the volume profile for this move. So not too much volume up here, it looks like. Yeah, volume's been kind of dying off a little bit ever since that major earnings report. I'm not big on speculating earnings reports, so I won't be holding through earnings, but depending on how this one behaves over the next couple days, it could be, it'll be one I'll be keeping an eye on. There, this one's just been choppy, consolidating for the past half a year. Semiconductors holding the 21 EMA, looking a little better now. Off of the lows anyway. Got Pepsi. A lot of these consumer names have been doing well lately. I know with Amazon, 3,700 is a pretty key level, as it was support right around here, pretty much right where we closed today. Couldn't stay above it earlier in the day today. This one likes to run in earnings too. My big thing with Amazon is that, actually, let me open it in here. Be a little faster to show you. Alright, so take a look at the last time we basically just consolidated for a year and a half. Price moved almost 100%. Price moved like 80% over the next 5 months. So we just consolidated and sat in this base for, let's see, just about a year. And we are currently up about 8%. So, like I said, I'm not big into investing in the long term, but I'm definitely considering buying some further out calls in Amazon, or maybe some sort of spreads or something. The volume isn't extremely strong yet, but that doesn't mean it can't go further. Amazon is definitely one of my favorite names for the next through the rest of the year. I think we'll see Amazon rip a bit more. All right, let me jump back into the scan here. Where were we? We were right here. All right, I'm just going to scroll through these until something kind of catches my eye. QCOM has earnings in 2 days, I know that. Looks like we're kind of working our way to the top of this range once again. Get a narrowing wedge formation here. Down just a little bit today. Looks like we just kind of took a breather day. It was an inside day too, and we closed well off of the lows. So that's pretty cool. Let's see, price is currently still about $3 away from the previous resistance from this high to this one back over in late April. Yep. Earnings in 2 days. I'm not sure how semiconductors have been doing lately. Qualcomm is semiconductor, I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, semiconductors. It says right beneath where you can't see on my stream, but yeah, I'm gonna add this one to the list. Could be worth a day-long swing. I don't like to hold through earnings. Just a bit too risky, a little too unpredictable for me. J&J, looks like we had a nice cup right here, handle. And it's kind of breaking out of that handle right now. Still have this top of the cup pivot right here to get through, which is resistance over here as well. And this is all-time highs, it looks like. It's a little sloppy trend line, but gets the point across. Looks like they just had earnings. They don't have earnings for another 3 months. Not my type of trade. Gonna move on. Feel free to let me know if there's any names you want me to take a look at. Lulu had a breakout here. A bit down today on lower volume. It's just too bearish of a candle for me to be interested though. Home Depot, another one of these candles today. Seeing a lot of these. Where the name is down just a little bit throughout the day, like this was down $1.40, which is nothing for a $330 stock. But I'm seeing a lot of this exact candle where it closed in the upper half of the range still. So that's a great indicator of market sentiment. These dips are still getting bought up. I'm more invested right now in the market than I have been in a few weeks. Okay, TA had an inside day. Still just kind of in this choppy range right here. Looks like it has earnings in 1 month. But if you bought this stock 9.5 months ago, you would not have made money, and you would not have lost any money though. Carvana still ripping. John Deere, Is this a downtrend break? Looks like it. Still under the 200. I don't like to go long on those names. I don't really like to pick bottoms, but if I were, this would be an indication of potential break of that bottom. Is a break of a major trend line that it's been in for about a year. SPY, all-time highs once again. Here's the SPX. I've been kind of watching this trend line here that's been resistance for the past, well, let's see, it was resistance 3 times throughout April and early May, and then resistance for a couple days again in the early and middle of this month. So I was kind of watching it here, and it looked pretty strong today, so I ended up taking a position on one of the dips today. Yeah, I ended up getting in right about here today. I figured it was pretty good risk reward too. I was kind of hoping that price would get down to the 5-day like the futures did this morning. And when I say this morning, I mean about 4 in the morning, about 5 hours before the market opened. About 4 in the morning, right here it dipped down. Let me see, I'm on a 15-minute. Let me change this. So 65 on the 30-minute is the 5-day. So it came down, undercut the 5-day, hit this line right here, this support line. And then just rallied from there, starting at 4 in the morning. We were sitting at 43.75, and we had about 40-point move. And I didn't get in until about right here, most of the way through it, but FTNT. This reminds me of Crocs. Just no real pullbacks. Just kind of straight up. 150% in 8 months. That's crazy. I mean, yeah, look at this weekly chart. Let's see, pre-COVID, sitting at about 120, got down to about 72. Now we're sitting at 273. So almost a 300% gain if you were to buy about a year and a half ago. They do software. Disney was looking pretty interesting. I was looking at this here too. This is the weekly chart right now. On the weekly chart, I just have the 10 and the 40 moving averages. You can see it wasn't quite ready to break out again here into this kind of previous area that it just kind of broke down out of here. but it's been kind of tapping this 40-day here. And daily was looking interesting too. We got the 200 moving average moving up right here. Potential support line right there. I think I already have this one on my weekly list, but I'm going to throw it on there again just to make sure. Actually, let me pull this one up in TrendSpider here. Get rid of some of these old drawings. Just put this right at the COVID lows here. That's not necessary actually. I'll put it at this gap up. Alright, cool. So we got the point of control and the anchored VWAP right here. See what kind of VWAP this gives us from this larger gap up. So this has been good support and resistance right here. Support, failed breakout, resistance, support. RSI is back above 50. Let's take a look at the almost through the Ichimoku cloud. And looks like we will be having an 834 EMA crossover. Squeezing currently. There's kind of a lot of different trend lines you could put on this chart. I'm going to try and clean it up a little bit. I like this strength in the RSI from last week or 2 weeks ago. It did end up failing, but shows good momentum anyway. That November 9th date from last year has a lot of value in my analysis I found. As far as, you know, anchored VWAPs and things like that. Like the point of control and the anchored VWAP is pretty key levels here. Interesting. All right, cool. AMAD's been fighting this resistance for a while. I think they do semiconductor equipment and materials. RSI is back above 50. See, the Bollinger Bands are getting pretty tight here. It's been in this base for about 4 months, which isn't that long considering it just made a 150% move. Over the span of 5 months. This looks interesting. Got an inside bar rated all-time highs. I don't like this though. I don't like an RSI downtrend while price is making new all-time highs. It's another inside bar at all-time highs once again. Oh, maybe not all-time highs, but close to. Bollinger Bands are very tight here as well. Held the 50 nicely, didn't even touch it here. Volume, not so great though. Volume's not a make or break with me, however. This could be a nice double bottom here. Moved up almost 30%. No, it's just been basing for about a month and a half. It's kind of hard to pick out a very concise breakout point. I want to say this pivot right here, but it's a bit sloppy. I'm going to throw this on the list. Keep an eye on it. Pfizer new, not all-time highs, but new highs. RSI is looking real strong. Wonder how Novavax is doing. Oof. Down almost 8% today. See how the 50 holds here. Volume was pretty light though. Just kind of interesting for such an ugly move. Showing definitely a relative weakness. Its earnings are in about 2 weeks. Or a week and a half maybe. I think I might put a shorter term trend line somewhere right here. Let's see if this does anything. Get rid of all these. Alright, so this VWAP is from all-time highs, which we've already broken below. price was perfectly caught at the most recent swing low, anchored volume weighted average price right here. It'd be interesting to see if that holds. If it doesn't, I'm looking at the 50. It's got some support in this area right here. I like this name. I feel like I don't normally like to trade biotechs just because they're riskier and they tend to have pretty insane moves, especially ones that aren't as big as Novavax. But I think because of that, I've kind of chosen one to focus on, and that's pretty much just Novavax right here. So I like to keep an eye on it. I like to try and catch these moves because, I mean, look at this day here. That's 20% in one day. I ended up getting in right above the 21 here. I was kind of planning on selling once it got to the 50 if it showed resistance, but it just blew right through it. Then I think my spreads expired somewhere around here, so I just got out. But, I mean, that's 21% was the move that I caught, but I only trade options, so I was sitting at about 140%, and that was with a hedge. So this is definitely one of my favorites, or this one is definitely my favorite biotech name. So I'll be keeping an eye on this support here. Add it to my weekly list. It's crazy that was down 8% today. That's wild. All right, where was I? I was at PFE. Pfizer. Well, maybe I did make it through some of these. Interesting candle for Apple today. That's just one of these after hours VPOC tests, perhaps. Sales kind of been underperforming for a while, so I'm not really paying attention to it yet. Kind of like Zoom. I think Zoom had a good move today, but it's just been so beaten down and it's been showing such relative weakness for so long that I've just kind of ignored it. Square had a perfect rejection off of this previous resistance from the side of this one today. Be interesting to see how far this one pulls back. It did have a close a bit off of the lows. It was only down $2 for the day. Nothing crazy, just kind of took a breather. TSCO at a gap fill. DraftKings, another kind of underperforming name, still under the 200 moving average. Thinking about putting some sort of gambling ETF in my retirement IRA. Microsoft had a inside day. Yeah, it was an inside day. Really good looking close too, right at the top of the range. Could be a nice strat move. Throw it on the list, keep an eye on it tomorrow. If it kind of opens near the top of this range and breaks above it, maybe I'll take some sort of position. Microsoft doesn't tend to move pretty quick, so risk is more easily defined or more easily caught, I suppose. Where if your move fails, you have a little more time to get out of it, A little bit extended from the 5-day. Nothing crazy, though. Stanley Black & Decker back above the 50. It's kind of been just chopping throughout that range. Not interested. Skyworks, another semiconductor company. Nice move off of the 21 here. 50's rising again as of a couple weeks ago. This, I think you could put some sort of resistance line right here. It's a bit sloppy action. It's not a very clear defined level, but had a failed breakout here. And then our breakout today had a really strong close, but the volume was pretty weak here. Not that that will necessarily keep me away from a trade, but then all-time highs is sitting about 204, about $9 away right now. Kind of a slower mover here. Amazon, I just took a look at a few minutes ago. Monster, another one with a nice inside bar here after good earnings. Oh no, Monster didn't have earnings. Their earnings are in about a week. I guess that's not that big of a gap up. This is also kind of a slow mover. But there's a couple names that have these inside bars with closes at the top of the range. It's pretty nice to see those because you have certain names that they had a great past few trading days, and then today, nothing crazy on a lot of them I'm watching, but they had a bigger pullback at least. So it's nicer to see these days that are, maybe had a big move recently that are just kind of taking a pause day, but not really showing any weakness. And RSI is still looking good. I'm going to throw this one on the list. I'm going to dive into this one on TrendSpider later tonight or in the morning, kind of take a look at the smaller time frames. So keep an eye on my Twitter. I'll probably post some more from this one. Looks pretty interesting. DHI, nice break above the 50 here. Not a great close today, but nothing too worrying anyway. It's a bit of an RSI divergence right here. Kind of a poor close on Chewy. Looks like it's kind of barely hanging on to the 200 right now. Did have some nice volume on this 10% move day right here. Just trying to see if I could find some sort of inverse head and shoulders pattern right here. I don't know if you could call it that. What's the it looks like one of these. Oh, I can't type it in here. It looks like this thing. Whatever that is. I don't know what it's called. It's like a fancy bracket. That's that's what this pattern is right here. It's a fancy bracket pattern. So we got kind of this area right here that's like a support and resistance, kind of a hard area to get through. Still kind of got rejected. But it's holding the 200 day, which just came into effect earlier this month, it looks like. So this one could be pretty interesting if, as long as it holds that 200, maybe a basis for a little bit. eBay's strong. eBay occasionally comes on my radar, and I honestly don't remember the last time I've even heard anybody mention eBay in just casual life. I didn't realize people still used it. You know, I thought Amazon kind of just shut them out. Etsy was looking good. I ended up, this trend line looks a little bit different on another one of my platforms. It's a little sloppy right here. I ended up taking a small position right at the bottom of this day, pretty much. I like the action on the breakout. The selling volume today was really light. It's above many key levels. Had a nice move up to test this resistance. Retrace back down to about the, well, let's see. It was right off of the 200, but so it basically almost perfectly hit the 0.618 retracement, which is awesome. And then it breakout, took a pause day today, inside day. I like the action. I like the risk reward too because, I mean, guess what? If, look at a 65-minute here. If it gets underneath here, I just get out. So, I mean, if it drops $2, if it drops 1%, I'll just get out. If it was a shakeout and it moves back above it, I can just get right back in. So, I have been kind of focusing on trades I can take where I know my risk is very light, you know, which I guess I kind of always have, but now I've really only been taking trades where the risk is very light. It's just a lot less stressful when you know, hey, if this drops 1%, I'm out. Then I don't have to worry about sitting with a loss, you know. So Etsy had some good action that I liked. Marriott, I actually sold mine today into the breakout here. I ended up picking up Marriott, I think, when it got above somewhere in here. I don't remember. I'm not going to look at a smaller time frame to find it, but I was sitting at a decent 50% gain on my spreads, and I just sold into the breakout. It's kind of had a couple false breakouts, and I mean, it still looks good, but I just wanted to kind of reduce exposure. It's a slow mover too, and it would have been I would have had to hold it for another, 4 days to start realizing decent amount of gains. It would have been more worth it, so I just got out. Almost an inside day on Autodesk. AMD, this one kind of fell off my radar. Still kind of in this, it's been chopping around for just about exactly a year now. Let's see, it looks like RSI trend might be breaking. So that could be a good sign. ABC Medical. Got a nice 2150 cross here. It's a bit extended for me right now. Yeah, see, another one of these bars here where another name after a solid move kind of took a pause day but closed well off of the lows. Oh yeah, and this one just broke out of a pretty long base too, about a half a year or so. Oh yeah, look at that, and a perfect tap of previous resistance. That's pretty cool. I think this one's a pretty slow mover. The ATR I don't think is that big. It's not that bad though. I like it when the volume is extremely easy to read. Like, just look at the last month. Giant bullish green bars. Selling volume's been a lot lighter. Nice giant green bars on these breakout candles. Throw this one on the list. I like that breakout and retest right there. Alright, just got a few more names. I'm just going to kind of quickly scroll through these. Veil still kind of chopping around the, jumping above and below the 21 there. My purpose for this stream was to just kind of roll through these and quickly find things that pique my interest. And then tomorrow morning I'll probably hop onto TrendSpider and look into a bit closer. Hold on just a second. Alright. So yeah, just kind of rolling through, picking out names that look interesting, and then I'm going to dive into smaller time frames tomorrow morning. It's a giant, long, sloppy consolidation. UBS, nice catch at the 200. Nice inside day on Pinterest too. RSI's still got a little work to do, but there's not any divergences. Probably draw a line like that right there. But put this one on the list. Probably keep an eye on it later this week. See if it has some sort of pullback, maybe a test the 21 moving average. Could present some sort of an entry there. Or if the market's really strong, it ends up breaking out, I would probably be one to buy a retest of that breakout. Number of fresh highs there. This is cool. Double inside day and Crocs. Yeah, this is this was that spree I was talking about earlier, where kind of throughout this range I kept looking at it. And I'm like, all right, if it, has some sort of sizable dip, I'll try and get in on it. But I mean, it kind of just felt like I don't want to say it grinded up, because I mean, if you held it for a week, you were going to be up. But it did have a couple 50 tests, I guess. Here, and here. But the times where I was looking at it, it was just pretty extended. And I'm like, I don't want to really buy a stock that's up 500% in less than a year. Which, of course, I regret now, because it's up another 115% since then. You live and you learn, And this is pretty cool. Awesome gap up breakout candle, inside bar, and another inside bar. Closes right in the middle of these two. Cool, I'm definitely going to dive into that one tomorrow morning. Zen, looking extremely strong. Little extended for me right now. It's up about 14% off of the lows. But it's a nice breakout. I'm going to add this one to the list and keep an eye on a breakout retest. one of the reasons why I like to look in here, it's just a bit faster. I have all my scans in here. I like how I have my watch list set up. But in TrendSpider is where I'll set a lot of these main alerts right here. If I'm looking for a specific entry, I will set my alerts in TrendSpider, or in TC2000, sorry, just because I can set it for, the second the price crosses, it'll alert me. Where with TrendSpider, it's more of like main levels that I'm looking at, like a breakout retest that I'm looking at on the daily. I'll say alert me whenever a 15-minute or a 30-minute candle hits that. So I kind of have many uses for these multiple platforms. It's another inside bar with a strong close today. They have earnings Wednesday. I'm not sure if it's before or after market open or closes. Throw that one on the list. Just to keep an eye on that intraday action. Kind of a weak close for coin there after that large gap up. Mattel, I think they have earnings tomorrow. I don't think they already had earnings. But it was up 8% today. Maybe I'm wrong. Trade desk. I like this action right here off of this gap up, but I guess volume ain't too bad. Although there is an RSI divergence here. So basically until it breaks that trend, price is making new highs and RSI is not. So not the type of momentum I want to see behind a move. Roku had another strong day. As you can see, we had like a nice cup here, little handle, and breakout. Boom. And the all-time high pivot is 47.40. Sorry if that was loud on the microphone. I'm not used to this thing being here, so I smack it around sometimes on accident. It's like it just about hit all-time highs today. RSI is not looking as strong, which is interesting because volume was huge yesterday. Snap had a nice inside day too. I took a very small position in this one today. It's not the setups I like to normally trade, so I took a really small position. I just bought one spread for, I think it was, $220. But if on Friday it's above $77, I have potential to make, I think, 120% profit, something like that. So I like the action today. Lower volume. Earnings were awesome. Obviously, it moved up 20%. I bought on one of the dips today. I got in about 75, so I'm already up right now. But these inside bars on lower volume after a strong move, it's what I like to see, especially when it closes off of the lows in the top half of the range. Mara, another Bitcoin play with Riot and MicroStrategy. Just dipping in after hours a little bit. I'm assuming that Bitcoin is as well. My retirement accounts. I just started a new one with new companies. It's self-directed, so I'm in charge of everything now. And my ETFs are about even from when I put the money in, whatever, month and a half, 2 months ago. My crypto's still up, though. I ended up buying into Ethereum under 2,000, and Bitcoin I had some around 35 and then some around 31, I think. I wish I was keeping a closer eye on it last week, because I think last week, Monday, Bitcoin was under 30K. Ethereum was, 18K or whatever again. I should have added more. but it's kind of one of those things where I'm long-term investing, so I feel like it's a waste of time for me to be constantly caught up in it. And I guess with this stuff, it's um, not easy for me to just kind of look at the price once or twice a day, and that's it. But I really should. All I have to do is put it on my weekly list or something. Anyway, that's it for this scan. And I'm going to call it a night for now. I'm going to go eat a little bit of food, read a book, and then go to sleep. And I'll be up at 5 in the morning, go to the gym, come back, and start charting away again. So cool. Thanks for everyone who joined here, whether you're on Twitch or YouTube. And I will be back on at some point tomorrow. I'm not sure if I'll be streaming in the morning, depends on how I'm feeling. But if not, I'll be posting charts on Twitter. A lot of more in-depth look, smaller time frames of some of the names that I pulled from this scan here. And I'll probably stream at some point tomorrow. If I don't do it in the morning, maybe I'll hop on in the afternoon for a little bit. So yeah, that is all for tonight. Have a good one.